all your school rugby, all in one place. This is NextGenXV.
Hello and welcome to this week's top 5 school teams of the weekend after what can only be described as an absolutely epic weekend of school rugby. We've had the Merchiston Festival, we've had the awesome St Joseph Festival, we've had a whole bunch of other games going on all around the country. It's been absolutely epic. But before we get into all that, let me please do my usual reminder of saying please subscribe to the channel, please do hit the notification bell. It makes a massive difference for us in terms of being able to get out all the school content to you guys. Please also make sure that you give us a shout on Instagram and Twitter. We're at NextGen15, at NextGenXV on both of those. And of course head to the website. We've got loads and loads of stuff going on over half term. Reflecting on what's been happening and all the usual kind of content as well, and looking forward to what's coming up. So that's www.nextgen15.com, nextgenxv.com. Right, on with the top 5. As I mentioned, there was some absolutely epic rugby this weekend. The two festivals, the Merchiston Festival and the St Joseph's Festival. We were really lucky to be at St Joseph's College, live streaming the whole event. If you didn't catch that, it's all on our YouTube channel. Some absolutely fantastic rugby, and a really big thank you actually to some of the guys that stepped in to help us with co-commentary and stuff like that. Really, really good of you to get involved and brought a real insight into what all the schools were up to. In terms of this week's top 5, obviously those festivals are reflected within it, but also we've got some teams that were doing things on the regular circuit outside of that, and also one side I think you probably see as a bit of a surprise, but they really impressed us with what they did at the weekend. So on with that top 5. So first up this week, obviously just in alphabetical order as usual, we have Bradford Grammar School. It's been a really, really tough season for Bradford Grammar School so far. Just been a bit unlucky in terms of performance and results and stuff. They headed into the weekend without a victory to their name, but they get themselves into the top 5 thanks to a first victory of the season, coming against a really good Durham side as well. Actually, they've played some really top schools and performed really well, but Bradford Grammar at home took the 15-7 victory. You can see in the photo how delighted they were. They were on really good form. We were getting messages all through the weekend while we were up at St Joseph's from guys who were involved in the Bradford Grammar game, a couple of people who've been on the sidelines, all really, really impressed. So well done Bradford Grammar School for getting that first victory and getting themselves into this week's top 5. Up next, Clifton College, a side it's almost hard to believe haven't been in the top 5 so far this season. They're undoubtedly one of the very best teams in the country. They've had some ridiculously good results. I think everyone remembers what they did in midweek about a month ago against Rugby School in the Ryan Bresnahan Memorial match. 29-0 I think that finished, and just a sign of how good they've been this season. Friday night though, they absolutely sealed their place in the top 5, almost regardless of what might have happened elsewhere in the country over the course of the weekend. They went to Hartpury College, to Alpas, and beat them 33-10, an absolutely brilliant result against a side that everyone in the world has heard of. Hartpury's story is well known, an absolutely top ace college, but Clifton College with an absolutely outstanding performance, 33-10 victory, played 6, won 6, lost none, absolutely fantastic. And as I say, almost hard to believe that this is their first appearance in the top 5, but I've got a feeling that after half term, with some massive games to come, get a couple of wins and they'll be back in this top 5, won't they? Clifton College looking incredibly strong this season. Next up on our list, and this will come as absolutely no surprise to anyone given their exploits at the St Joseph's Festival over the weekend, it's MILLFIELD, the St Joseph's Festival champions. They came into the tournament as favourites on the back of 4 wins from 4, including that great win the week before against Wellington College. But as we know, labels go into such things, they mean nothing. And it started off looking a bit shaky for MILLFIELD perhaps, a 0-0 draw with Brighton College. How little we all knew, hey? They then went on for a series of impressive performances, including an absolute thriller against Kings Worcester, where they were just running in points. MILLFIELD under pressure, needing points, are an absolute joy to watch, and they scored 33 of them in just 25 minutes. They then went on through the knockout stages to the final, where who do they meet? Brighton College again, this time winning 10-7 to claim the title. And I have to say, in reference back to that Titan format where everyone else sort of shortened their game plan a little bit to a certain extent. Not MILLFIELD. They stuck to their attacking principles. They went for it from everywhere. An absolute joy to watch. And they go and break the record. 7 titles at the St Joseph's Festival, taking them 1 clear of Colston's, the outright most successful side at the festival ever. The challenge now for MILLFIELD: can they go on and keep bettering themselves into the second half of term? They've got big fixtures against the likes of Whitgift, and then their final game against Sedbergh at the end of term. That could be massive in the context of the Daily Mail Trophy as well. Huge season ahead for MILLFIELD, but what a fantastic first half of term it's been, and what a fantastic performance at the St Joseph's Festival, deservedly getting them into our top 5 for the 3rd week in a row. Absolutely incredible. Up next, and again probably absolutely no surprise to anyone given what they did up at the Merchiston Festival this weekend, and that's Seaford College, a side we've been quite familiar with. We've had them on our live stream twice. We know quite a lot about them, and that performance level that we've seen from them in those live streams, they took up to Scotland, added a bit of a clinical edge to it, and came away with the title. They actually found the going relatively tough on day 1. They had a really tricky group, ended up finishing 2nd, but the key was that was good enough to get into the cup groups for day 2. Day 2 cup groups, tough group, but they came out on top of it to send them into a final against Bedford School. And we've all seen some of the exploits of Bedford this term so far. A top quality side, not one to be taken lightly. Seaford College definitely didn't. They used their blend of real power and sort of dynamic energy that they've got, added to it with that sort of sprinkling of stardust in the back line. Managed to get across the line twice for a 14-7 victory to take the Merchiston Festival title. Only the 2nd time the Merchiston Festival has been held, but by all accounts it looks as though it's going to become a real staple of the school's rugby calendar. And as you can see on an article on our website, we are big advocates for festivals becoming the sort of dominant feature in terms of competition rather than block fixtures in the school season, perhaps overtaking some of those knockout competitions. There's just more of a variety of opposition to take on. Seaford College certainly showing that. Absolutely brilliant at the Merchiston Festival. They've been a good side all year round. Their top 5 debut, almost a surprise perhaps that it's taken this long to get in the top 5. And so to our final team in this week's top 5. A team that put in one of the performances of the season. In fact, the performance of the season. It's Sedbergh School, who travelled down to Whitgift, a side we expected them to have a close fought battle with. We had Sedbergh as the marginal favourites, but what we got instead was a dominant Sedbergh performance, particularly in the second half after a relatively close first half, where Sedbergh just came out of the traps and started raining in tries for a 52-13 victory away from home against a side that is a top side. Remember, Whitgift beat Harrow 7-0 not so very long ago, and Harrow we all know about. Absolutely fantastic from Sedbergh. It's been a sort of scratchy season for them, what with cancellations and COVID and whatnot, but they've played 5, they've won 5, haven't lost a single game. This is their 2nd week in the top 5, and they've just put in the performance of the season. And with the second half of term that they've got coming up, facing the likes of Wellington College, facing MILLFIELD towards the end of the season, big games, Sedbergh have just absolutely put all of those sides on notice. And I'll tell you what, with MILLFIELD winning at St Joe's and Sedbergh doing that all in the same weekend, that fixture in early December is looking very tasty indeed, isn't it? So that's it for this week's top 5, but of course there's always loads and loads of sides that only just miss out. Not quite as many this week as in other weeks because it was a slightly reduced fixture list, what with the St Joseph's Festival and the Merchiston Festival taking up the time of a huge number of teams. In addition to that, lots and lots of schools already beginning their half-term break. However, it is worth diving in on some of the schools, and I'm going to start with some of those schools that were at the St Joseph's Festival. We had the privilege of seeing every single game live, of streaming them all live, so we got a real insight into them. And first and foremost, we've heard about MILLFIELD. I want to talk a little bit about their opponents in the final, Brighton College, who were just fantastic. They've really built through the season and they built through the tournament. They've developed a style of play that's relatively direct but works so well, and their captain Johnny Smith picking up the Player of the Tournament award, the number 8 and skipper, looked absolutely fantastic all weekend. Really impressed by him. Kirkham Grammar School, of course, winning the plate. Really impressive. On day 1 they were many people's picks for the title. However, they came up against another side who really impressed us, which was Denstone College, who ended up finishing 4th in the tournament with that performance against Kirkham Grammar School for a 7-0 victory off the top of my head, I think it was. Absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, the side that finished in 3rd place, Wellington College, looking to defend their 2019 title, probably just a little shy of their best over the course of the weekend, but still a real threat throughout. Elsewhere, up at the Merchiston Festival, Bedford School getting to the final, really impressive performance. They had a tricky group, but they got their way through it up to the final and only narrowly missed out against a very, very good SEAFORD College side. A couple of other sides worth mentioning: Bishop Vasey's Grammar School beating Bablake and King Henry VIII. Bablake and King Henry VIII have been fantastic all season. They've been right on the sort of fringes of getting into the top 5 almost every week. But Bishop's Vasey's beating them 22-19, that's a really good result for them. A couple of big impressive wins as well. Bishop Stortford High School at Cooper's Coburn, 45-0, really impressive. King's Ely, 48-5 at home against St Edmunds College Ware. Blundell's 41-7 at Kingswood, that's really impressive. St George's Harpenden, 59-0 at QES Barnet. St Benedict's winning 36-0 at home against Aylesbury Grammar School, that's a great result. And then the Crypt coming against an RGS Worcester side that have been playing some really nice stuff, but just managing to nick the win, a really impressive result, 16-15. Elsewhere, Epsom College, unbeaten still, almost sort of quietly, sleepily staying below the radar, and yet they go into half term unbeaten, finishing up with a 31-0 win over St John's Leatherhead. And then the last game I just want to touch on, Harrow against Berkhamsted, a ridiculously high level game of rugby. Two sides that I promise you are among the very best around, drawing 10-all. Harrow had a load of injuries early on, but Berkhamsted couldn't quite take as much advantage as they wanted to. They were 10-3 up at half time, but the determination from Harrow to keep in the fight, levelling it up at 10-all. Two fantastic schools that you need to keep an eye on in the next half of term, with some big fixtures coming up for both of them. That's it for this week's top 5. Huge congratulations to Bradford Grammar School, Clifton College, MILLFIELD, SEAFORD College and SEDBERGN for some absolutely fantastic performances across the weekend. So impressive. We can't wait to get back at it after the half-term break. Just a final thing from me, please do remember to subscribe and click that notification bell. It makes a huge difference. Get in touch via @NextGen15, @NextGenXV on Instagram and Twitter, and check out all the content that we've got up on the website www.nextgen15.com. That's www.nextgenxv.com. Let us know who you think should have been in the top 5. I'm sure lots of you have got some different opinions. Leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. You know it all makes a massive difference. We can't wait for the rest of the school season to continue.